Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 717. White kicked off here with e4 and I played d5, the center counter defense. And now I played the really rare move e5. You know, just taking is fine and good for white. Knight c3 is another interesting way to play, I guess, if you want to avoid some of the main lines. But there's no reason to avoid the main lines in the Scandinavian. They're all good for white. Anyway, so he pushed on with e5, which allows me to build up kind of a French defense structure. Let's see, I start with c5. That's to make it a little more difficult for him to play d4, although he could still play it. And he went with c4 here. So the combination of this move and this move actually gives the advantage to black here. I think if you wanted to play like this, probably c3 building up to d4 is a better way to go. But after c4, I just have a little more center influence. Let's see, I go with e6. I want to hold on to that center. He goes knight c3, trying to put pressure on it, but well, this pawn is adequately defended, so I can develop pretty much as I please. I go knight to c6. He goes knight f3, knight e7. My idea is to bring this knight out here to g6, put some immediate pressure on his e-pawn. Goes with d3, preparing to bring his bishop out. I go knight g6, and he takes. So after this exchange, you can see that I have a pretty impressive center here. So he plays d4 to try and break it up, but he did waste a tempo here because that pawn went to d3 and then to d4. So I'm keeping some kind of slight edge out of this opening here. Let's see. He went. Oh no, I went bishop e6. Defending my pawn and blockading his pawns from coming forward. He goes bishop b5, hitting my queen. Sorry, he went bishop b5, pinning my knight. And let's see, I decided to just take here. This leaves him with a weak e-pawn that I can target later. He goes ahead and takes my knight off. I take back. And then he grabs this pawn here. And now I just played the kind of natural move, queen to c7. Defending the c-pawn, which had come under fire. Although the chess engine says this kind of gives up the advantage, and it's about an equal game after this. So the engine wants to play bishop to d7, defending with the bishop, or pushing on with c5. I guess these are maybe a little more active ways to play the position. So queen c7. I liked queen c7 though. It adds some pressure to this pawn, but he could just defend with f4, and white is okay. So this is an even position, like I said. He makes a mistake on the next move. But when I was looking at this with the chess engine, it was even recommending that white could castle here, which I didn't understand at first. But, well, why don't you see if you can spot the idea here? What happens? What happens if I try to snatch that pawn? Yeah, there's this nice little tactic here. Pause the video if you want time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away. After queen takes pawn, he can push this pawn forward with tempo, hitting my queen. My queen drops back and it comes forward a second time and forks those two pieces. So yeah, you got to watch out for that old double pawn push technique. So he had a couple moves to deal with the threat to his e-pawn, and instead of doing that, he just kind of ignored it. He took my bishop. And I don't know, maybe he thought he would have I would take back and then he would save the pawn, but the pawn goes with check. So after this, I'm just a pawn up, and I should be winning, but it's not quite so simple. He still is doing okay at certain times. I keep an edge, probably a winning edge at this point, and I keep it for a while. So let's go forward. Let's see, he plays rook e1, getting his rook out. I go bishop d6. So all this play is pretty logical, I think. g3. Well, that keeps my knight from hopping in here and annoying his king. Although he's also had the option of trading it off if I ever did show up there. But it is protected by the bishop there. Anyway, I go ahead and castle. Taking a look at his f-pawn. Brings his king back, trying to get out of the center. I go e5, just going to push these pawns forward and try and keep his position restricted. He goes b3 here. I go rook f3. sinking this knight into a good square with tempo. He drops his knight back to d1. Go rook a to f8. And but I can't really break through, at least not right away. He's got that adequately defended. Just goes bishop to d2. And go bishop c5. I'm just piling up pressure on f2 as much as I can, but it seems like he can hold it. And then I go bishop d4. I'm sort of running out of ideas here. But now he gets to activate a piece with rook c1, and these next few moves, actually, my advantage, which was close to a winning advantage, kind of starts to decrease. The chess engine actually says I should kind of give up on this idea that I had of just going after the f-pawn. Time to switch plans, drop this rook back to defend the c-pawn, keep this strong center, and just go in for some more maneuvering here. I guess maybe I could try and reposition this knight to a better square. There are different ideas in this position, but I was sort of single-mindedly pursuing this one idea, which is one of my weaknesses as a chess player, honestly. And so it actually is not these are not the best moves that I'm playing anymore. Let's see. So white starts to get back into the game is my point. Let's see. He went bishop to e3, challenging my bishop, and I pushed on with e4, still with this idea of trying to get something going against his f-pawn by pushing these pawns forward. But once again, the chess engine is saying I should really just retreat my knight and kind of hold on to the center there. Anyway, I push on with e4. He goes b4. This is a good move and is to undermine my center. And let's see. So I'm sort of forced to take here. And at this point, white is definitely in the game. It's close to even according to the chess engine. He takes my bishop. Let's see. Oh, he took it with the knight. That's right. Takes my bishop. And I push on with d4. It looks like he's getting a pawn back here, but while I'm trying to harass him and drive his knight to a bad square. If the knight goes back here, this is the move that keeps white in the game. And the point about this move is the knight defends f2 as well as keeping an eye on the e3 square. And if I played like in the game, like taking here, say rook c4, forking those two pawns, pushing on with e3, you can just grab a pawn here, and it's all kind of up for grabs at this point. I can't play rook takes f2 like I did in the game because of his good defensive knight. I mean, it seems like a really passive move, but in this case, that's the move that's required, and white is still in the game. Instead, he went knight d5, and this just loses. Let's see. It's stronger to actually push e3 immediately, but I exchanged here. He came up with a rook to do that pawn fork, and now I pushed on with e3. And white's position is just falling apart on f2. He can't defend it adequately. Let's see. He tried grabbing more material with rook takes d4, but this comes with check. And he trades it off. Comes with check. King moves out of the way, and now I can just mop up his pawns here. I take the a pawn. He grabs the e pawn. But, well, these two extra pawns are on the outside, and this is just a winning advantage. So definitely a clear win for black at this point. Let's see. He tried knight to c4. And let's just go forward a few moves. I'm marching the pawns forward. Goes king f1. And now I make a mistake. I mean, I have a straightforward plan. In fact, knight e5 here, the chess engine's move, is a good move to distract this knight. But I thought rook a1 was winning. I just missed this idea that when he takes his pawn, he defends his rook. So this caught me by surprise. So this made my job much tougher after rook a1. He took that pawn, and we go into this endgame where I'm just a pawn up. It should be enough to win, but it's always complicated when there are still knights on the board. You have to maneuver that pawn carefully. The good thing is his king is far away, and the knight has difficulty dealing with rook pawns sometimes. It can get into an awkward position. So I start marching my king towards the center. He brings his king up to oppose me, and then I start bringing my knight over. My idea is to get the knight into position where And also I have to hold the line on the king side, so I don't want to allow these pawns to be traded off. I may have to exchange this pawn for his knight, so I want to have a pawn left over here to win with. So I have to be careful to hold on to my kingside pawn here. Let's see. And then right here he makes the final mistake by playing king to f4. If he were to play, for example, knight to a2, then this game, it's still winning for black, but it would take me somewhat longer to win. But king f4, he walks his king into this forking position, and fortunately I spotted the idea this time. Knight d5 check, he takes, and then I push the pawn, and he can't get back in time to stop it. He plays a few moves here, and then resigns at this point. So anyway, an interesting game. Hope you guys like this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.